mile a day in November for people that are struggling, or even myself. The normal human being can struggle, but you gotta keep going, right? And it's like some days you're not gonna feel like doing something, but you just gotta do it.
I think one of the hardest things that I've had to learn throughout life is to set goals without expectations.
Right. Struggle is like gonna happen in life, without a doubt. So what are you willing to struggle for? Right?
What are those struggles? All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Two Press Podcast, aka the #1 podcast in Winnipeg, where we document the rise and stardom of Winnipeg's talent and personalities. Just a boys only today, but before we begin, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you want to go over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating. That also helps as well. So,
Yeah, just
much love.
Just click that like button. It makes me happy.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Closing in on 400 subscribers, so
Subscribe, smash that like button.
We're run up the number. Like, we've made it, boys. We have made it.
400 subscribers, man. That's crazy.
That's good though.
It's good. We're starting. We're getting it.
there,
We're getting it going.
We're
Today
500 soon enough.
Yeah.
we're recording this. November 2nd, 3rd, 4th,
November 4th. November 4th, 2023.
23. So you guys it's coming out on Tuesday. So you guys just seeing it now. But
Yeah.
today, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month for men.
Yeah, for men. Yeah.
And so today we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Today we're gonna be running a mile every single day in November, and today Robin's joining me. So if you're tuning in, make sure to stay till the last very bit of the podcast, and we'll show you our running journey. Yeah, let's dive into it.
Arsh, you're doing something crazy, hey?
I wouldn't. What's
People don't know who Devo is. This is Devo.
Okay, wait, hold on. Before we begin this very important topic, we want to introduce a very important person in our team. Please welcome Mr. Devo, or Devin, as we like to.
Nice to meet you guys.
That's his legal name, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Devo is behind the camera most of the time, doing the camera switches, making sure the show runs smoothly. But since we're doing a boys only, you guys get to meet the team. You get to meet him as well.
Collaborating.
Yes.
In 3 words, describe yourself.
3 words. That's tough. If I had to choose
That's
3.
if I had. Okay.
That's it. No more. All right, let's dive in. No, I'm kidding.
I would say optimistic, driven, and philosophical.
No, you're not wrong. You are.
You're not wrong.
You are not wrong. Do you want to give an origin story how you got involved in Tool for Rise?
Yeah,
Yes,
sure. I mean,
yes.
it's a quick one. It's not too deep of a story, but I mean, I've been watching the podcast for a while, and I really enjoyed it, and I think drawn to it just because it was a local thing, and just seeing the success of people around the city, and seeing people that I knew, and just seeing you guys do what you do so professionally. I mean, it made me question what happened to the show for that little period of time there, and I immediately recognized, like, I don't want to see you guys go away. I don't know what the deal is with you, but like, if you guys need help, I would be happy to help. So I reached out to you guys, and I mean, I have a little expertise in my own field because I used to do streaming and stuff before, and my own kind of videography and all that. But yeah, I mean, I was getting into digital marketing, and I figured I could help you guys in that field, as well as, just videography in general, and I think that's worked out since.
Yeah.
It's been great. It's been great.
Yeah, like, I mean, you reached out in
May?
sometime May. Yeah. And
I think we had the first initial meeting in like February or something.
Yeah.
Or no,
Yeah,
well, like
the first initial meeting was like closer to February when we actually decided to take a break, because when we took a break, we always knew that we wanted to come back. It just wasn't like we set a date. I think it was May 1st.
May 21st.
Yeah, May 21st that we wanted to come back, or at least have the meeting of coming back.
Yeah.
And so, just naturally, I guess the world just aligned itself and was like, okay, well, if you guys want to come back, then here's Devo.
It's funny how that works though. Like, you guys ever notice, like, when you really start to like manifest or like envision things in your mind, and like you really start to like put your focus into things, things do start to fall into place. Whether, you know, sometimes it's not expected and you don't, you're not really prepared for it. But
no, 100%. Figuring out the world works in a funny way, and like my mom always says this, like everything happens for a reason. I think a lot of people say this.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to find the reason sometimes.
it is.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things going wrong, and you're like, what is the reason for this? And my mom told me, she's like, you're not gonna know for years.
Yep.
You're not gonna know for years. Or she also said that too.
It's one of the wisest things I've heard. Is like, you're not gonna know until like way later on.
Until you have that like reflection, or you're sitting in the moment of, wow, like everything that I went through, or everything that happened, and like whatever the struggle was, whatever the ups and downs was, it was to put me at this exact moment, you know. And it's like, there's that quote. I say it often. It's everything in life will happen, just not the way you imagined it would have, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that was like, damn, when that hit, like even with the Two for Rise thing, right? It was like we took a 9-month break, but I guess it happened for a reason, and we're here now back with a team and better episodes, better guests, better equipment, like that.
Again, I said this before to like a lot of you guys, but like I'm so glad we came back, and I don't know what it was internally, like for me, that really was like, yo, I gotta bring the show back. Like the show has to come back, and I don't know what it was. Like I truly don't know, but there was just something like, there's other projects in play, there's other things going on, but for some reason, coming back to this was always somewhere in the back of my mind, like, yo, gotta come back. And now we're here.
Part of it was like, we never, personally, I didn't feel like we gave it our all, to be honest. Like we did record 106 episodes, but
you scratched the surface in a sense.
Yeah, it was just like, just barely scooping them. We got comfortable, I guess. I think that was the biggest thing, was that we got comfortable in writing the process of, we know that we go back to back to back, and then that can be sustained for only a short amount of period, and then life catches up with you. And Robin said this one thing, and he was like, if you're gonna do it at the busiest time, like, you know, we all make excuses of, I can't go to the gym because I 8 classes in the morning, then I can't get home, come cook. And he said this one thing, and it was, if you can find time then, imagine when life gets a little easier. You're not gonna be complaining then. So why don't you find time here, do it then when you're the most busiest. And then I was like, well, it's got a point.
I honestly can't take credit for that. So like I do a lot of sales, like in my like in my personal life, in my business life, and so this was actually taken from Alex Hormozy. So he says like he has a lot of like really cool nuanced things that I really just take in terms of even the way you phrase something. If you put the negative before the positive, or the positive before the negative, because I'll give you a great example. So he talks about like selling gym equipment or whatever, and so he goes, okay, I'm going to give you this, but it's going to cost you that.
Right.
So so the big but is the thing
Price,
the opposition. But if you go the other way around, it's going to cost you this, but you get this, and this. Just that simple flip
In narrative,
of putting the negative thing, because most people, if the price, or you can do anything, you can associate that with anything. Let me try to think of a reason right here.
I actually have a good example. In the business world, one thing I learned is that when you're communicating with somebody, instead of like, let's say they give you an idea and you want to rebuttal off of that idea and like incorporate into it, but you have something like differentiating from what they said, instead of saying like, oh yeah, I like what you're saying, but you say, I like what you're saying, and because you're adding instead of trying to like combat with them in a sense, right? It's all about language.
Just a small vocabulary.
That's the thing. When I just saw this TikTok actually like 2 seconds before we hit record on the cameras here, and it was exactly what Debo said. This guy was trying to sell him a pen, or if it was like, I think it was some sort of a product, and he was saying, oh, your prices are so high. He's like, yes, and I'm giving you the best marketing team. I'm giving you the best this. 100%. So it's like it takes it from a negative to turns it into a positive.
Well, and it also it gives them a different perspective of they're not stuck in a position of where they feel like there's an ultimatum or a decision they have to make. It's more just like an opportunity is presented in front of them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the conversation we had, that was one of the oppositions that he mentioned so many times. People are like, yo, I just don't have time to go to the gym, or I just don't have time for that. And the easiest thing you can just is get them to list out everything they have be like, okay, if you could do it now, then you can do. You when you have time, which you will never have time, but if you can do it now, then you can do it later. So it was a little sales pitch. And I was very proud when it worked, but I just wanted to let you know that I can't take credit for that. That wasn't me. But it was able to work. But those are just small things that the language really changes.
100%.
Their language really changes.
I think it just puts it into perspective of like, you know what, he is right, and that like you're making up excuses to like not do the thing that you actually should be doing, right? And so when someone puts that like narrative in there, it really puts it into perspective that, you know, if I can do it when I'm the most busiest, think about it when I'm the most like free.
Also, like level setting as well. I realized this really recently as well, that your expectations or the high that you feel off certain things decreases so quickly. I remember like our first like 10,000 views or first 10 views on a video, like they feel so good, but then all of a sudden now we get 10 views, it's like, yeah, it's just 10 views. But like you have to realize that that is so powerful, and we just get so immune to the successes over time.
Yeah.
There's a reason why, you know, like LeBron James will get like $1 million, you know, that's just a mil.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Like to you, like
yeah.
to you, it's nothing because you've made so much money over the time, and you're just immune to the sense that that's $1 million. But to other people, that's a lot of money. So, yeah, that was a realization I had really recently as well, of like just getting immune to like wins, regular wins, which would be large wins before, but now they're just regular wins.
Regular wins.
Yeah.
It's the small wins, but they're important wins, and they matter, right? Like you can't have those major wins in what we call in society until you have those 10 views, 5 views, 6 views, 0 views, no comments.
Well, I was going to say, nothing good ever comes easy, right?
Yeah.
There's always a sacrifice that has to be made. Like you can't get you can't get something from nothing, right? And I think people forget that, and they make those excuses. I don't have time. I don't have this. I don't have that. But they're not willing to make the sacrifice to cut out the one thing that they want to do in order to fit the thing that they need to do in their life, right?
Yeah. That's the biggest difference, is people give up what they want to do for what they need to do for what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then if you're able to switch that, you'll be successful in whatever your terms are for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of want to do and need to do you want to do your run thing? So explain your
Okay,
run thing.
yes. Okay, so we started off saying that Arshdeep's doing this crazy thing, and he's not. It's a very simple thing, and as we know, November is like the month of mental health awareness for men, and so I took it upon myself to run a mile a day in November for people that are struggling, or even myself, right? It's like, we all go through something in our lives, whether that's, like stress, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, whatever mental health issue. I think my way of just showing is like, everyone struggles, and you're not here alone. And so I'm going to run a mile for you. It's not for me. I'm just doing it for people out there who are like struggling, and, show that they got support and raise awareness for people. So that's the biggest thing.
I commend it. So what's the whole premise? So you're running 1 mile.
1 mile every day.
Inside, outside?
Inside, outside, doesn't matter.
Okay.
It just depends on whatever I can get it in. So if it's in the morning and I'm at university and I have 1 hour before my class, let's go. It takes it takes me 12 minutes maybe if I'm going slow. It's 12 minutes I can take 12 minutes out of my day to go and run 1 mile. And so, it's been a fun journey so far. Like I've gotten, the biggest thing is to raise awareness, right? And so a lot of my friends, they're like, oh, let me come on a run with you. And so like being the whole podcast thing and marketing thing, it was just on my story I post. And I just ask them like, hey, what's your message to the world? And they just share a message. And it's like, I just post that and I hope that connects with like someone out there. And so far it's been well received and people are liking it. So
how many days in are you?
Be 4 days in now.
4 days.
Yeah, 4 days. And it's like we say, it's 6 days. 6 days is the number. That's where it gets. Like, first 4 or 6 easy, light work. Today my calves are sore, light work. Just wait until next week. We'll see when it starts hitting. And that's the thing, right? When you make it public, there's an extra layer to the accountability that you have to hold for yourself. And I consider myself a disciplined individual, but I'm human at the end of the day, and I say I'm gonna start going to the gym January 1st, and then I go until January 15th, and that's it. And so when you make it public and everyone's like, everyone's rooting, and then they just felt like, the reason people watch is like, oh, let's see if he did it today.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
As much as I love you, the first thing I said, yo, you have to commit to it. You have to commit to it.
And Robin texted me. He was like, bro, you really gonna do this?
I did.
And he's like, you better not miss a day, or else I'm gonna call you out. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna give you the opportunity to.
Yeah. So especially when you make it public, you know, I understand like just running, but if you take the initiative, hey, I want to make this public, now you gotta run.
Yeah.
Now you gotta run, my friend.
Yeah.
Now you gotta run, because you're my friend.
Yeah.
So if you let yourself down, mate, you're letting me down too.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the thing.
I associate myself with you. Like I gotta do a pod, but I can if you stop after 3 days, like yo, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I know you're not gonna stop. Like there's something here, and you're a disciplined individual, so I know you're gonna do it. But
honestly, that's why I love watching like inspirational gym videos and stuff like that. Is because a lot of those guys talk about the fact like, even though like you guys, you know, see me on the camera and I'm huge and all this and I love working out, I don't love it all the time. And I don't love, you know, shoving my face full of food all the time, but I do it because I'm trying to reach a goal, you know?
And that's like to the ultimate of like why I run or why like I'm doing this. It's not to gain some sort of like clout from this of like, yo, I want to like, I'm trying to like be an influencer, or I'm trying to like change the world. No, I'm just doing it to show people that like the normal human being can struggle, but you gotta keep going, right? And it's like some days you're not gonna feel like doing something, but you just gotta do it.
why running?
I just enjoy it. Like I honestly like I could have done anything. I could have done like 10 push-ups a day for like 30 days. I could have done like 10 pull-ups a day. I could have done something physical, or like I could have run 10 pages of a book a day for mental health, right?
I'm sure that would get very well received.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you know, it's a little marketing trick to it too. It's like
Arsh read 10 pages today, guys.
But no,
that'd be impressive.
For running wise though, like
it's trackable.
It's trackable, but also that it's also like a selfish thing. Like running for me, it's the most selfish thing I do for myself. And the reason I say it's a selfish thing is because it allows me to go to a place where like I can just, it's a one time where I can stop thinking, right? And so my mind is constantly going of like, yes, I have this assignment due. I gotta make this thumbnail for the video, right? I gotta post this short. It's the only time in my day where I can like shut off the brain and just focus on making sure I'm breathing right and like my legs are moving and that I'm just taking one step ahead of the other. And that's like the most calming place I can go to when I'm like.
Would you say that you're doing this more for yourself or to get a message out to others?
Both. Yeah. I think these past months have been a grind, the least to say. It's like in terms of the going through my own shit. And so it's a way of like stacking the wins, and so building the confidence back. And so, you know, in life throws curveballs, and the biggest way is like, yo, you just gotta move a little to the right, hit it out of the park. And so that's what I'm trying to do. It's like when Alex Hormozy says, you just gotta show them. If you want to say that you have confidence, you just gotta show a stack of proof. And this is just one thing that I gotta add to that proof of like, yo, I ran a mile a day for 30 days. And so it is a little selfish thing. It's like, it's a way for me to deal with my own struggles and show the world that like, yo, people say, a lot of my friends in university will say like, oh, you're taking 5 courses. On top of that, you're managing a team of like 50 students. On top of that, you're doing a podcast. On top of that, you're doing this, and it's just like, yo, like they're like, how do you do it? I'm like, oh, like I'm not no superhuman. I'm just a human at the end of the day, and it's just to show that like yo, I have my own struggles, and this is my way of dealing with it, and everyone has their own way of dealing with it, and so it's like about just raising awareness and saying that like everyone struggles, and it's just like how you deal with what you got to deal with.
What are those struggles?
Damn.
That's what it feels like to sit in that chair.
Yeah. This is my interview now, right? Okay. Put me on the hot spot.
What's that curveball? What's that curveball you're trying to hit out of the park?
I think I'm just trying to like. There's a lot of doubt that goes in my mind, and sometimes.
I think it's natural.
Yeah, like. When like. I could tell you the real reason, but like I think it's when you go through when you have expectations in life and they just don't go the way that you imagined they would have. It hits hard, and for me that's like one of the biggest things is where when you have to let go of things that you weren't ready to let go of, and that doubt. That's when you start every day of the day. You're thinking about, okay, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong to be in this situation?
I think one of the hardest things that I've had to learn throughout life is to set goals without expectations.
Right.
Because I learned that when you have expectations, you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
100%.
Because I think we even touched on this like right at the beginning of the podcast, like life's going to give you what you want, but it may not give it to you exactly how you ask for it, right?
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing. It was like, I was hoping, and sometimes, often, stuff that you do want is often the best things that don't happen, right? And that's the quote from Dwayne Johnson. Yeah. It's like, I wish one thing would have happened. Like, that's the only thing I wanted in that life to happen, but it didn't happen. And so now Bro, I'll just admit it. It's like, yo, you just get rejected, right?
Yeah.
You just get rejected. That's it.
Well, rejection is hard to deal
Rejection,
with.
no, 100%. It's like...
Especially on a consistent basis.
100%,
When you try and the same thing over and over and you get that same result over and over, it's tough. It is.
100%. And so then you go back to the drawing board. It's like, yo, when you get your, like... I think the biggest thing is when you hit rock bottom, quote unquote, this is like, you could say it's my rock bottom, but I don't think so. I think I've been lower. But if that's your rock bottom, then the only way you gotta go is start stacking your stones out of that hole, right? And so this is one of my ways of stacking it. It's just to show like, yo, I think the biggest thing to help with mental health for men, this helps me, is having an outlet, whether that's coming on the podcast and talking to the best people in the world, or running a business with my friends, with my brothers, or whether that's leading a team of to accomplish a certain goal, or whether that's being the best academic weapon I can be at school, or whether that's running a mile a day. Is just to show that like small wins can stack up to get you out of that hole. And I think that's the ultimate reason out of this. It's not to show that like, hey, I know all about mental health. It's to show that, hey, like I can struggle, but I can choose to move on with those struggles and heal at the end of the day. That's it.
And another thing I think that's hard to recognize is when you go through like lows in your life and you go through those like kind of dark points, a lot of the time I think as I get older I've recognized that like those dark points, those low points are blessings in disguise.
100%.
They're teachable moments, and like even though they beat you up in that time and then in that moment and you feel really, really low and you may feel like you don't got anything left in you, it slowly goes away, and then you start to recognize like, oh, like this is why that happened to me, right?
Yeah.
And now I understand like that, like now that I'm in this stage of my life, that helped me so much, kind of thing, right? Yeah.
I've said this before on the many podcasts we have, but having that through line is probably the best thing you can establish for yourselves. Having too many highs and too many lows, good to feel the emotions, but that roller coaster can be daunting.
Yes.
And so, like, when I have a win, I try not to, like, I just try to get myself right back to that baseline. It's so hard to do. So hard to do. But I'm slowly learning, and as time goes on, get better. But, yeah, I got that from Drake in terms of, just keeping that steady low line. Because you can if you have that, sometimes, you know, recently I've been like, yo, my life's going like a little too well. Like something's coming.
Yep.
Like something's
Yep.
coming.
You're on the
that
edge.
feeling. I know that feeling too well.
Like, and so, no matter what you could do, of like,
Yeah.
I'm
Bro, like I said, life's gonna throw curveballs, and it's just a matter of like moving to the side and hitting it out of the park.
I saw a TikTok. I was looking for it before we started the podcast, but it was a couple of guys sitting down and they were talking about men's mental health, and they were saying, well, they're just talking about mental health in general, and they were saying, if you could envision yourself as being the ideal person that you wanted to be, that where it doesn't matter what instance in life you're put through, you're able to handle it, and you're able to get through it, and you're able to be that pillar. What would you put yourself through in life in order to get to that point?
Yeah.
Right? Would you give yourself a cakewalk? I don't think so.
No.
You know, you'd want to put yourself through all that
Yeah.
hardship and all those like things that really beat you down, because you know that's what's going to make you resilient at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, like I think people got to remind themselves when they feel like that, there's always sunshine on the other side, right?
Yeah.
This comes down to like the discipline equation, which I think we should run through. I don't know if you guys know. Do you guys know what the discipline equation is?
No.
Okay. So the discipline equation is how likelihood you are able to be disciplined to one thing. And so discipline is equal to the importance, your why, plus the enjoyment, how much enjoyment you get out of it, minus the friction that it takes to do that thing. So let's run through an example for this podcast. The enjoyment of doing this podcast out of 10, or let's just do 5. Out of 5, 4, right? I'll do this personally, 4. The enjoyment, also a 4, sometimes a 5. The friction, there's a little friction in terms of like booking guests and thing, but it's fairly low, 2. So what, 4 minus 2, that's 6. Since the number is positive,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
since the number is like positive or above a certain number, the habit will occur.
Right.
And that discipline will happen. So let's run it through like your running example.
Yeah.
How much enjoyment do you get out of running? Like the importance. What's the why you do it? Out of a scale of 1 to 5. What's the reason?
I would say like a solid like 5.
Okay, so the importance is high, 5.
High.
And
yeah.
what's the enjoyment you get out of running?
like 4?
Okay, surprising. And what's the friction of doing it?
It's just a matter. Yeah. So it's that's also on the high end.
It's
right?
so what
It's
would you
like-
say, 4 or 5?
Like yeah, it's 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you average out to 5 times minus 4, you're 6.
Yeah.
Right? 6
Yeah.
or 5. So the discipline will occur, or the habit will occur.
Right.
If I do this for something that I don't really enjoy, let's take something I don't do. I tried doing meditation for a while. Didn't really work out, but I realized when I plug it into the equation, it kind of works. What's the enjoyment I get out of it? 1.
Right.
What's the importance? 1, 2.
Yeah.
What's the friction? There's not that much friction, but the friction of me actually getting to do it, 5.
Yeah.
So it's a negative number. Habit won't occur.
Right. But it's also like relative to your scale though, right?
Of course.
Right? And
course.
so it's like I feel like you could flip that too. Whereas like if it's negative, then you know you got to do it.
And but the majority of that comes down to the importance, because then
Right.
you can do the importance. You can break that equation down into like pain times progress over time.
Right.
So how much pain is it causing you? If it's causing you a lot of pain, the importance is probably high,
Right.
right?
Right.
And pain and pleasure. You can do pain plus pleasure. How much pleasure is it causing you? How much pain? Because the importance, a lot of the times when I do things, it's not only because I enjoy it, it's also because I'm running away from something.
Right.
The pain of not achieving it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never really thought about it in that perspective of the idea of like when you're going through like painful experiences, it's likely something that you need.
Yeah.
And when you're going through pleasureful experiences, it's likely something you don't need, but probably something you really want, you know?
Yeah. And this is why like this is such a like not talked about topic is like men tend to struggle with this a lot. It's like sometimes we can't distinguish between what we need and what's good for us and what's bad for us, right? And so we're always in that state of like second guessing our decisions of like, yo, should I really have done that? Like, should I have had that chocolate bar instead of like eating a salad?
See, I always say that's what differentiates children from adults.
Yeah.
Is doing what you need to over doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
Got a simple solution. Flip a coin.
Flip
It works every time. Works every
I
time.
like that.
flip a coin.
Works every time.
That's our secret. Flip a coin. No, I think everyone. This will come back to Mark Manson's. Like I was showing that a reel this morning, and it was Mark Manson has this quote of like, what do you like? If struggle is like gonna happen in life, without a doubt, struggles gonna happen. Everyone's gonna have their own struggles. What are you willing to struggle for? Right? Like, at the end of the day, we all have our struggles. It's choosing what you're able to struggle for. And so, take it into relationships. It takes two to build a relationship. And so if one person is not willing to struggle for the other, then ultimately that relationship will not work, right? Think about running, for example. If I'm not willing to struggle for the next 30 days, I would ultimately have to say Robin was right and I didn't complete the 30 days, right? And so that is like, I think everyone has their own battles that they go through in life, and it's just a matter of like, I'm choosing, because at the end of the day, if they break you down and you keep getting up, doesn't mean you're broken, right? Doesn't mean you're broken. You're gonna get broken down. It just means you're unbreakable. And so if things can't break in your life, you're unbreakable. You just keep building. And so I think the lows in life will teach you your character of like what you can do. Of if I'm low, and this was another quote that I listened to, and it was like, if men can learn to act at a point of low, out of the abundance of the heart, with all love and all intention, just imagine what they could do when they're okay, when they're at peace with themselves, with the world. Like, if you can learn to act when you're down, like if I'm pissed off and I can learn to act of like, okay, I can put that emotion aside, but still like respect one another. Imagine what you could do when you're the most happiest person in the world.
You guys know who Ski Mask the Slump God is?
Yeah.
The rapper?
The rapper. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've heard of his name. Don't know.
I just saw a video of him yesterday talking about how he was saying, like, I remember like crying almost every night, sleeping in my girlfriend's car, having no place to live, writing beats down every single night, and just like visioning myself with money and cars and like having everything set and having her not have to worry about anything anymore and not have to work and all that. And I just keep writing my beats every single night and envisioning that. And he goes, manifestation is a real thing.
100%. You speak anything into existence as long as you're willing to put work for it.
That's what I live for. Those stories of like, oh, I was sleeping in my car for this song, or I had this thing and I had to come from there. But I live for that. But the other thing that also drives me is how many people had those things but don't have the second part of the story. Yeah. How many people went through the struggle but don't have that success after, right? Like, that story sounds sick now.
To me, it's where did they go wrong?
Exactly.
What happened in between, right?
Yeah.
So that's also what sort of scares me and like pushes me a little bit more is I have that story. I have that, like, not the same exact story, but I have a story of where I come from to where I want to go. I'm manifesting that dream. But the fear of not achieving it and just being stuck in that first act, that's also scary.
Yeah, well, but I also think like we have this unique way of taking that fear, turning it into fuel. Like, I don't know if it was about like, and that's one thing I feel like I've really understood about myself throughout the years is whatever struggle I can go through, I use that as fuel for some reason. Like, if it's like, if I'm feeling some sort of pain, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm running and I'm about to stop, I'm like, does this pain feel relative to this pain? If it doesn't, then it's like, okay, you can keep going. Right? And so it's like using that fuel, using whatever you have in your system of like, and that's why I say the biggest thing to help with mental health or physical health or whatever you're going through is having an outlet, whatever that is. Stick to it and you'll get through it. Like, it's just a matter of like,
after 30 days, once you complete the full 30, are you going to stop? Like, is it just a 30-day kind of thing?
I hope I don't stop. I hope I can continue to keep going, and maybe till the end of the year. Or
365 miles in 365 days sounds very nice.
Yeah, it does. It does, and no, it 100% does. And so that's like the ultimate goal is like, I hope I could just continue to do it, and like maybe 365 miles in 365 days.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be sick.
Right,
That'd be so sick.
It just sounds great, like wording together.
But yeah, like I think if it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't stick, then maybe it was just meant to be for 30 days.
But you'll learn a bunch of things along the way.
100%, 100%. And it's just like the matter of like, showing up no matter how much I have going on in life or whatever it is that, you know, I go through on a daily day. No matter how many exams that university throws at me, no matter how many assignments, no matter what I have on my schedule, if I can make time for that, then it's like I can make time for myself.
So I have a cool analogy about the brain and muscles, because technically, I guess, brain is a muscle at the end of the day, right? Or an organ, or whatever you want to call it. So when you're training for muscular strength in the gym, you want to put your muscles under the most pressure, right?
Yep.
And you want to do that in order to get yourself to the point of failure. Because when you get yourself to the point of failure, your brain actually sends off signals to your muscle telling them that, like, the next time around, you need to be strong. Like, the muscles need to be stronger in order to lift that weight one more time, right? I feel like it's the same thing with the brain.
Oh, 100%.
In the sense that when you go through hardships in life, it really just falls down to expanding those thresholds in the mind, right? And like even just like allowing yourself to like incrementally just withstand just a little bit more, and then you can get past that thing that felt so much. You know, it could have felt hard last week, but this week all of a sudden, you feel like, oh wow, this wasn't as much. You know, it's not as much of a stress or weight on my chest, right?
They call it mental fitness.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like we talk about physical fitness a lot, and it's exactly what Devo said. It's like straining your muscles. I'm not saying you should strain your mind, but it is a part of like
You do have to put it under tension, right?
100%. And I think like when you're going through your lows, the best thing you can do is feel those emotions. Like understand, okay, like today I'm just not like I just don't feel it. Like that's okay.
You're building like the mental calluses.
Yeah, like you're understanding
calluses,
at the end of the day what your body is emotionally going through, and so. I say like that's Simon Sinek calls it sitting in the mud, and I really stick with that. It's like, yo, just sit in the mud for a while, like understand, like, you know, when they say like, oh, when you hit your low, like understand that feeling, like fully, like when you like, for example, business, like for example, a recording didn't record, we failed on, we had it happen to us. Feel what it feels like. Like, just understand that, like, where, like, study that, like, where did we go wrong in terms of just recording? But if it's your mental health, like, just like, yo, my body's not, I just don't feel like getting up today. Cool. You understand that, and then once you slowly start building back up and you get to that high, also feel that high, like, feel what it feels like to be high. But then Robin says, climb that stair back down and stay even, flat. But ultimately, like, if life was like a heartbeat, all right, it's supposed to go up and down.
Yeah.
If it was flat, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
You're not living.
That's true.
It's true.
Yeah. Going back to full circle moment, like you become numb to those things, right?
Oh,
like you
100%.
become numb. And like the same way you get numb to like the small wins to the big ones, the same way on the opposite side of the spectrum, if you have something really bad happen to you, if something sort of bad happens to you, you're like, this is nothing.
Yeah,
This is nothing.
that is the flip side to all of this, is that like a lot of people like that I've worked with in construction, man, they like you sit at a construction site sometimes, you know, you're waiting for material, the concrete truck to show up, because Devo hasn't loaded it yet. But yeah, like you sit and you talk with the guys, and it's like they've seen like people die on site, right? Like they've seen, like this one guy was telling me, like he was like, yeah, we're putting up precasted concrete walls, and the crane literally let go and the concrete like fell on the guy. Sorry, this is getting too graphic. But,
I mean, it happens.
And so he's like, yeah, like and he still just chooses to go to work, right? Still chooses to do the same thing. And it's like, when you compare your struggles to what they're going through, it's like, yo, man, like it's nothing. And it's like, oh, there's this one saying, it's if everyone threw their struggles in a pile, right? If all the world came together and threw their struggles in a pile, you would pick your struggle back up and be like, yo, I'm taking that, right? I'm taking that back, because like,
you know you can handle it.
Yeah, you know you can handle it. But like, it's just like, I think it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's a blessing to go through struggle, because like, man, you're just learning so much about yourself. You're learning so much of like what you're capable of. And so if you're spiritual, they say that like God will put you together or put you back together in front of those people who broke you, right? And whatever that situation is, in like whether that's life or whatever situation goes on your path, you'll get put together. The biggest thing is putting yourself back together. And so, yeah, you start gluing those pieces. And for me, that's like, yeah, running. Like I'll run until I'm chilling. Like
one thing I'm a big believer in when it comes to like spirituality is, I recognize that, like you said, the beauty of life doesn't come from the good in life.
Yeah.
It comes from the ability to recognize what good is. And you can't do that without understanding what bad is. Yeah. Right? You won't be able to appreciate the good if you've never been in a bad position. That's why trust fund babies often are the most depressed, and they don't know what to do with their lives, and they end up having no friends and stuff like this, is because they already have everything they could ever ask for. They don't have to go through any struggle, so they have no sense of appreciation for the things that are good in life, because it's a given, right?
Right.
They take it for granted. So,
You guys ever play like GTA?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Okay, so like, the game's so much more fun when you have no money.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, I just finished the game and like, I got like $180 million in the GTA bank account, and I'm like, this is kind of boring now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of bored.
There's no goal. There's no strategy.
There's like, there's no missions to do. There's no nothing. Like, I could buy any car I want at any time, buy any house or plane I want at any time. Like, this is kind of boring. I just thought it was kind of cool.
No, yeah, it's true though.
It's true.
Very true.
Is that what they say? But they always say, like, oh, the billionaires are the most like sad people in the world. Let me be the judge of that. Let me get there.
I think what they mean by that ultimately is like, in society now, we're so key to the idea of success being monetary, like money, right? And to an extent, I do believe that money is like, I'm not saying money is the most important thing, but to an extent, money matters, right? Money does matter at the end of the day. And so coming back to like if billionaires are, because I think to get to that point, they've given up so much. Like, for example, if someone in their teens becomes a billionaire, right? They probably had to reject all their friends from going out or making connections or like neglecting some family time or some sort of sacrifice had to. There's always a cost, whether that's an opportunity cost, whether that's a success cost. There's going to be some sort of cost that comes along with your success. And so when they get to their goal, it's like, okay, they're satisfied, right? They get comfortable. But then they start reflecting on like, yo, I had to give up. Like, what if I just like went back to my 20s and like just did dumb stuff, made the dumb 20-year-old moves? They reflect back on that. And so like for me, originally I was like, yeah, man, I want to be a billionaire. I'll be happy with like $1 million, like, you know?
I just thought of something crazy. So, you remember growing up and playing the game of life?
Yeah.
Like the board game?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whenever everybody played the game of life, at the end of the game of life, everybody was always like, woo, like, fucking, yeah, I got what I wanted, I did the thing, right? Yeah. You play Monopoly.
Just run past go real quick.
It either never ends or somebody always gets angry. Yeah. And they're like, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
Now, I was just thinking about that because I was thinking about I gotta say, there's a lot of people who don't like this guy. But one quote from him is, he said that life is not about making money. Life is about the game. Life is like a game of Monopoly in a sense. And the money is a way of keeping track of score.
Yep.
So if you want to be the number one, and that's what's important to you, that's how you can get there.
Yeah.
But you can either play the game of Monopoly or you can play the game of life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I know that.
That quote came from Donald Trump, by the way. That's why I said that. Everybody like him, but yeah, you know, he has said some things in the past that are worth noting.
Yeah, I mean, I wish life was like Monopoly. I just drive around the block, grab $200, and be right back.
Instead of being right back.
I'll just be right back. But no, going back to I think the reason why the billionaires, they say, or many of them are sad is because there's no missions for them to do. They've done it now. They've done it. And so I think probably I guess everything is hypothetical because I'm not there yet, and I'll tell you once I get there. But it's because they're not chasing anything anymore. Now it's like, okay, now I can do what I want. Now I can do, the enjoyment came from getting there.
Yeah.
And also the pain also came from getting there. But once you're there, now what? Now what?
Well, and I agree. Like you said, I'm sure those people have to sacrifice a lot in their life to achieve what they achieve.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that can wear on people, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it's just like, for me, it's just like, man, like, finding your purpose. I think that's what, like, and that's when, like, you accomplish your purpose. What is your purpose at the end of the day? And that's, I don't want to touch on that, but, like, there's other ways to find, like, purpose, right? And so a lot of now, I think social media has a lot to play with what everyone describes as success now. And so I feel like if you can figure out your own definition of success and what you truly, truly want out of life, just do that.
I find it interesting that how the new generation correlates success to popularity.
Yeah.
Because it's like, by our definition of standard, that is like maybe a small portion of it. But like, that's really like, that's only like a stepping stone in order to get to real success, right? When you become an influencer, it does open up business opportunities and stuff like that. But I think that like the younger generation doesn't really think about the business side of that. It's like, you don't just become popular and all of a sudden you got a whole team that follows you and does everything for you. Like, no, if you're going to become popular, like, it's going to take hard work to get there, first of all, and it's going to take even harder work to sustain that, you know?
Yeah. I think people severely underestimate
how much,
especially how much it takes.
Yeah.
I personally
Media
underestimate
in general,
it. Yeah.
holy shit.
I to get to $1 billion, to get to $1 million, I think people severely underestimate how much work it takes.
I love this because, like, you guys can continue talking, and until I find it, I won't say it, but it's like, when you really want to put it into perspective, between the difference between $1 million and $1 billion.
It's
the
unbelievable.
second. Yeah.
No, it's crazy. I think
I wrote this down. Okay, I found it. Okay, so yeah, when you really want to put it into perspective, the difference between $1 million and $1 billion, it's insane. We'll do it in terms of seconds. 1 million seconds is 11 days, right? 11 days.
Got it.
1 billion seconds is 31 years.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
Yep.
That's too much.
11 days to 31 years, yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's so much. So much of anything.
Yeah. And so that is why, like, I feel like, especially younger generations, they do experience a lot of mental health struggles. It's because they're always in a state of comparison, right?
Yeah.
And so, especially with social media, when social media is a highlight reel of everyone's life, including mine, like, you're not going to post like, now it's like, it depends on your mission, right? What are you trying to do? And so you're always going to post, like, oh, I just went to Italy on my private jet eating, like, a 2,000 Wagyu steak. Like, that is, like, what everyone tries to portray, right? And so when kids see this, or when teenagers see this, and they're, like, in their 20s or whatever they are, to the ordinary person, they're like, oh, I'm going to university. I have 5 assignments to do. That person's on a private jet with $1 million in cash. You start comparing. You're like, what am I doing in life? Mm-hmm. And I think that is the biggest, like, reason of why everyone is struggling today, is because we're always in a state of comparison to the other person. When that is like, as much as you want that to push your goals, I feel like if you can ultimately, like, I feel like everyone has this pressure of achieving something. And it's like, man, like, you're 20. Enjoy your 20s. Like, you shouldn't, like, if you're passionate about being successful, of course, do that, like, as much as you want. But don't sit there and compare yourself to people that have already gotten it. You don't know their journey. You don't know their struggles. 2 different things. Focus on yourself, man.
I don't think that's a bad thing though. Like if you got a goal and you really want to achieve
100%,
it, like
yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
Like,
saying. It's like,
and if you are willing to have that sacrifice and go through that,
yeah,
I don't think there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
If that's not what you want, then okay.
Yeah.
Then then enjoy your 20s. But
Yeah.
if you don't want to enjoy your 20s and you really want to grind, grind.
Yeah.
Grind your world.
I think 20s is the
It could be
time
anything.
to grind.
20, 30, whatever you want.
The
Like
20, 30, wherever you are. I think what I'm trying to say is like if you're sitting there comparing yourself to like these people, like you're on your own journey.
I think, like you said, it's not bad to have aspirations, but one thing that a lot of people do is they look at those people, those influencers and stuff, they go, what am I doing wrong? When they should be asking, what are they doing right?
Right.
Instead of putting themselves down, they should be asking, like, what could I be doing in order to get myself in that position, right?
Yeah.
Or like, how did this person achieve this, right? Those are the questions you should be asking.
We do that all the
rather
time.
than what am I not doing, right?
We do that all the time. Just break down, like, we just literally doing it before we started, like, breaking down, like, analytics, breaking down, like, different shows, why they do what they do, why they're successful. And, like, that's just, like, an obsession to the game of podcasting, but, like, it could be anything.
But I think to an extent, though, like, if you're trying to get into this realm of success requires a state of obsession at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is a necessary investment that you do have to make in order to get somewhere in life.
Unbridled determination.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
It means
What's unbridled mean?
unbridled means like
unbridled.
to not be broken.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fair.
Like,
Fair.
like
Just
yeah,
obsessed.
you
You're
just
obsessed.
obsessed. Like you
Obsessed.
just gotta be like, yeah, obsessed.
But obsessed, I think obsessed being over obsessed on one thing, because if you're obsessed on too many things, then it causes a problem as well. If you're trying to do too many rabbits, comes down to Regan Tran said this in his episode, but chasing too many rabbits, you're obsessed with too many rabbits, can't catch them all.
Spread yourself thin.
Just pick one. Just pick a rabbit.
Pick a
Yeah, I
rabbit.
agree.
That's worth struggling for. Pick your struggles. Just know at the end of the day you're gonna be fine. Just keep pushing, keep rising. Until next time. See you. Peace. What's up, gang? We're on that daily mile. Robin, how are you feeling?
I'm good. Thanks for making it to the end of the episode. Much love. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next Tuesday, my friends.
Peace.